From Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back to back bombs. From Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my. It's another sports podcast. My, oh my. There's been some good playoff baseball going on, but it feels empty, shallow, and hollow without our Mariners in this thing. Been a wild, wild weekend for college football, NFL, any given Sunday. Y'all know how that goes. Regardless, the Mariners might be on the outside looking in, but you know we rep this team rain or shine. We got our homeboy Indy out there in Nashville, Tennessee, rocking the ones and twos. Super producer Vaden Podcast Services. Vaden Podcast Services. Him and his wonderful fiance make this show come to life. Got to give a huge shout out to all our homies in the live chat. We can't do the show without y'all. We love the knowledge, the jokes, and the stats and everything y'all bring to the table. My main man, RG, fresh off the road, dedication unmatched. He's not a player, but he might fuck a lot. RG, what's going on, bro?
How could you falter when you're the Rock of Gibraltar? I had to get off the boat so I could walk on water. This is no tall task. This is nothing to me. Difficult takes a day, impossible takes a week. I could do this in my sleep. I've sold kilos of coke. Guessing I could sell CDs. I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. Let me handle my business. Damn. Shout out to the homie Ty Talks. Fading Podcast Services presents My Oh My. It's another sports podcast. You know what it is. It's time to go to work.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it, man. That is one of my favorite remix verses I've ever heard in my life. So shout out to the legend Jay Z Hove. But man, I don't know if you've been on the road so much lately. I don't know what you've been able to see, what you've been able to watch. But one thing I've noticed is these playoff teams, simply put, have much better situational hitting than the Mariners have been able to put down. Just give me, and I'd be remiss. Talk about a wild weekend for college football. Whatever you were able to capture this weekend, let me know what you're thinking, bro.
All right. Well, let's take a step back real quick before we get into college football, before we get into the Mariners and the week that was in sports. I'm a baseball fan. You're a baseball fan. Most of us were brought together by a love of baseball. Can't go any further without saying rest in peace to the legend Pete Rose. I think it's a damn shame that that man's not in the Hall of Fame. They gave Reggie Bush his Heisman back once NIL came back in. All of these sports leagues take money from each and every single one of these gambling companies, yet you're going to keep Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame. And if you put him in now, it's a crock of shit. It's an absolute crock of shit if you put him in now. Give that man his flowers while he can still smell them. Now you're just going to write some half-assed, half-hearted shit to the family. I say you keep him out. And not because he doesn't deserve to be in, but if it wasn't good enough to get this shit worked out while he was alive, you look like a bitch to me for trying to get it done now that he's dead. But again, shout out to the homie Pete Rose. Rest in peace. The pioneer of all this degenerate shit we talk about every weekend. But yeah, man, just damn shame. Damn
Yeah.
shame that they let one of the greats go without being able to get this thing worked out.
There's so many ways. I'm really glad you brought that up, man, because honestly, time flies throughout the week, and I honestly completely forgot about all of that. I want to dive into Pete Rose too, but I just want to give a huge shout out to Dikembe Mutombo and his family because I believe those two sports legends, obviously Pete on a completely different level, they both passed away, I believe, on the same day. And
The
although I'm a
same day.
diehard Sonics, yeah, diehard Sonics fan, I will never forget when he got that rebound to be the first 1 versus 8 seed to be eliminated. Dikembe's holding above his head. But more importantly, this man was a philanthropist in the Congo, I believe, in Africa. And obviously, there are numerous problems where any philanthropy can be a great benefit to society. So shout out to Kembe Mutombo. But when it comes to Pete Rose, bro, I mean, he was like the spearhead of the 1970s dynasty, which was the Big Red Machine. The dude has well over 4,000 hits, easily the hit king. I mean, I can't even wrap my mind around any current ball player getting to 3,000 in today's era, let alone freaking 4,000. We all know if you're playing really hard nosed ball, Charlie Hustle, you might be called by one of your coaches. That's an ode to Pete Rose. And damn it, man, RG, we are never going to see a runner bulldoze a catcher to try to get to home in an all-star game anymore, let alone a real game. So yeah, shout out to Pete Rose. And you know where I stand. I think it's a bunch of bullshit that he's not in the Hall of Fame. This isn't the Hall of fake morals out here. It's a hall of the very best baseball players ever, but they made their decision, they stood on it, and rest in peace to the legend.
So you brought up an interesting stat, so I kind of wanted to take a look to see who is even close. And the first article that I pulled up to not be a complete jerk looking away from the live camera uh, is kind of an old one. And Joey Votto, at the time of this article came out, was at 2,100 hits. Nelson Cruz was at 2,053. Then it names players like Michael Brantley and Daniel Murphy, who barely made it halfway to 3,000. Elvis Andrews and Andrew McCutcheon each got their 2,000 hit in 2023. And then it goes all the way down to old Evan Longoria, who hadn't quite gotten to 2,000 yet. So, yeah, man, that number is going to be, it might be the most untouchable record in sports. Might be the most untouchable record in sports as we continue to live through the eras that we're going to be defined as we continue to grow and get older.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, how could you not? It's complete living off of morals and what is perceived to be right and wrong. Just had a chance to do it and didn't do it, and now the opportunity's missed. You know, my grandfather would always say, "Don't let the sun set on your anger because you might not have a chance to say good morning. You're sorry tomorrow."
Mm.
And here they are. He's gone now, and there's no way to make that right. And it wouldn't, and how could you stand on, oh, he bet on this, he bet on this. You know how much money that they're putting into. You can't watch anything without seeing DraftKings or FanDuel or BetMGM
Hmm.
advertised. And all four major sports leagues are in bed with them. It's cool. What's my man Finesse 2 times say? It's cool if you do it, but it's a problem if I do it. Fuck it. I'm already angry. We haven't even got to fucking John Stanton yet.
Oh boy. Well, you sure sent us a good article, man. And John Stanton, Jerry Dipoto, I feel everyone in that upper offices are culpable for the season. I mean, we finished one game out. I feel that honestly finished worse than one game behind. We kind of just got on a little winning streak after we were eliminated. But I've been trying to do numbers in my head while we've been talking about this thing on the wax, man. And the actual number, RG, is the Mariners had $64.9 million. So basically $65 million in massive unproduction spent on the lineup with Julio, Polo, Garver, Haney, Urias, and JP. I mean, I'm not happy with where our spending is, but Jerry Dipoto, you can't be wasting those $65 million on underproduction. And when I say underproduction, bro, it's massive. Julio down 84 points in the OPS. Polo down 138. Garver down a substantial 243, a completely different hitter. Mitch Haniger hasn't had a good season since 2022. Urias hasn't had a good season since 2022. And JP's OPS dropped 193 points. Stanton's frustrating the hell out of me. I desperately wish we had a new owner. But for me, y'all that know me, I have been a start, like, pound the table, keep Jerry around. And it doesn't matter anymore because he's obviously coming back. But man, you cannot be wasting $65 million with a middle, lower class type of payroll.
The Mariners operated with a payroll of roughly $145 million in 2024. They were around roughly 140 million in 23, 155 million in 22, elevated by signing bonuses on Julio and Castillo, and 105 million in 2021, the year when they emerged from their rebuild a year earlier than anticipated. They peaked just north of 170 million in 18, the final year before the rebuild. And we know the price of this team is going to go up. Cal Raleigh, George Kirby, the OG LOG, or Rosarena, they're eligible for arbitration. Plus Julio's jump from 8 million to 24 million. Now I did see something here that said they may or may not, that they were leaning towards not picking up Polanco's option, just and then see if they can get renegotiate with him. Aside from the expensive component to free agency, there is also the blunt reality that the Mariners have stumbled in that area of roster building, headlined by the largest contracts to both the pitcher under Dipoto, the 115 million that they gave to Robbie Ray, and the 24 million that they gave to Mitch Garver. You hear the Garver, an above average hitter by WRC plus. League average is 100 for his entire career. Was worth 88 WRC plus and minus and a minus negative 0.04. Sorry, a negative zero point 0.4 WAR per fan graphics in his season debut with the Mariners in 2024. The glaring piece of all of this is we need offense. We need impact players on offense. And if you haven't seen the article yourself, it's on MLB.com under the Mariners tab. Feel free and go out and read it. Me and Tyler are going to read it all for you. But it's interesting to see what it talks about at the end, where Stanton talks about what he would say to the fans. And I don't know about you, but I don't like to be talked to like I'm stupid or somebody who thinks that they're smarter than me just because they made some more money than I have. I can't stand that. Absolutely can't stand it. He's the cause of all of this. He's the cause of where we're at. Jerry and Justin can only do so much, but Jerry also needs to take some of this heat for this. 10 years under him, one playoff performance. One playoff performance. I saw something today that in the last 6 years under their current management, that the Phillies have played in 31 postseason games in the last 6 years. Then I've seen the Twins general manager, who has who has 3 division titles in under his belt in 6 years, is walking away from the team. But yet we're going on year 11 of we're doing you a favor. And now, yeah, I get it. He said it last year, but it's like being stuck in a never-ending cycle in a bad relationship already. I'm old. I'm old. I'm not. I didn't just show up in 21. I didn't just show up post COVID. Been a Mariner fan for a very long fucking time. In any other regular organization other than the Yankees, because God knows they've given Brian Cashman way too many passes for his one World Series title back in '09. How are these guys still in power and that you're asking the fan base to be patient. One playoff appearance is 23 fucking years. How much more patient do we have to be?
Mhm.
Go ahead and take the ball, Ty.
Well, here's the thing too is I try to give a little bit of relief, some compassion towards Jerry and his record since he's taken over the team cuz I feel there was 3 years where we weren't supposed to win. 20 was it 2021 was Kyle Seager's last season and we came up short on the last game of the year. I was at T-Mobile Park for that crushing game when we came up one short, and I feel the team arrived a year early, but still, so say I even give them a 3-year pass, then that's still, 1 out of 7, which would get most GMs fired in most cities across the country. So even if you give them a big old mulligan, it's still not good enough. And then RG sent us a really good article, y'all, on MLB.com, and I really liked it too because we sometimes get too much sugarcoating from the local Seattle media stuff I read, bro, where they're not willing to burn the bridges of their relationships with the team, so they're not going to say it how they should. And while I understand that, it was really refreshing because the MLB writer is much more of an outside looking in, and they don't have these relationships that they have to worry about burning. And so you they listed out the payrolls, and so they said back in 2018 the Mariners were eighth in payroll. They topped out at 170 million. So that's what, about 25 million more than we were operating with to start the season this year, but it's actually way more than that because we're not accounting for inflation. Like, 2018 money isn't the same as 2024 money. RG, I busted out the inflation calculator on the internet. For the Mariners to maintain their 2018 payroll, that would mean we jump up to $213 million this year. So clearly, well, they're cheaping out on us because, like you just said, I don't like it when they're acting like I'm dumb. I'm no mathematician. I'm not Warren Buffett out here making all these transactions. But even a delivery driver like myself can figure out that 170 is actually substantially more. 213 is where I think we should be at this year if we just wanted to maintain what they've proven they've been willing to spend in a given year.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Hmm.
We've said that before. Stanton says, I intend I intend this team to win, have a winning record every season, be in the playoffs most season, and we will win a World Series. I don't know about you, man, but it's getting kind of deep in here walking around all that bullshit. Where's the move? I listened to another sports columnist say it like this, that what you want as a fan and what you want as someone in the organization is to see the move from upper management that signifies to you we're dead serious about this and we're going all in. Push the chips to the table. What do you have to lose? What good is having the second best farm system in baseball if none of those guys are major league ready and can come up and do anything? Locklear showed flashes of brilliance. Bliss was a little over his head, and I like that guy. Where's the move to show that this is what we're doing and we're all in on this, and we're going to try to give you the payoff? Where is that? When is it coming? How much more patience do you need to be? I believe our producer sent a meme that he found that said only one team in baseball has never scored a run in the World Series since the original Xbox came out. And that just made me feel even worse. just whether you're, as I like to call them, a front office Avenger, or you're like me, where you're tired of the same old dog and pony show dance. Both parties are right. Whether you want to keep being patient or whether you're ready to blow the shit up, both situations are correct. These two things can be true at the same time. I won't tell you how to fan. You don't tell me how to fan. But it's like we are okay with having a second place team, and that's not what I buy the MLB package for. That's not what I hop on planes and travel to go see the Mariners to go do. I'm not cheering for us to have incredible profit margins that then result in them not turning around and proving that we're trying to go all in for this World Series. It's like we're hoping we backdoor it into it and just so happen to be playing the last week of October. Talk shit about the Padres all you want. Mariner fans were going in on the Padres last year. Padres might win the whole goddamn thing this year.
Mhm.
And lost Juan Soto.
It's
And I
jealousy, man. Most of us talk shit when we're jealous.
just, I get that we don't have Guggenheim money like the Dodgers. I get it that we're not the most historic franchise in baseball like the Yankees and don't have two shit crazy owners who are just willing to do whatever it takes like the Phillies and the Mets do. But it seems that those are the only four teams who show up to spring training who expect to be playing the last week of October. And
Mhm.
they've positioned their teams to be able to do so. And they'll do what it takes, no matter what no matter what it is.
Mhm.
All right. Oh man. Again, just it's unfortunate to try to watch this year's playoffs. We were up 10 fucking games June 18th. 10 fucking games. Like you said, it feels a lot worse than missing it by one game. And, we only missed it by one game because no one else had anything to play for those last 4 days because it had already been decided. So they're trying to figure out rotations. They're resting players. To me, we lost it by 4 games
Yeah,
because the
I
last three
agree.
games we played didn't matter for shit. And then, like you said in our on our off mic conversation, the team is alive and swinging the bat well. And how do we get that effort when none of it fucking matters? Six
It's a
extra
lot easier
nights
to
of that
perform when
effort,
there's no pressure.
right? Absolutely. I guess the lights might not be that much brighter when as soon as you're out the playoffs and you're more relaxed up there at the plate
Mhm.
and you take better at bats. Fuck.
There's some good shit going on in the live chat right now. Mariners Lifer says he has no patience left, and we're with that, man. For us to want to be patient, like to me, there might not be a single fan base that's more loyal and more patient than the Seattle Mariners. I honestly wanted to come on here talking that shit to Tay, saying, your Astros got booted first round. But it's hard for me to even talk that shit right now because it just feels like a little brother poking a big bear. Like, bro, as soon as I punch you, you're gonna crumble, man. Get off me. And although I am happy the Astros got bounced, it's really shallow. And to me, it shows how much losers we are that we celebrate other teams losing like that. Winners celebrate yourself winning, not you don't celebrate other teams losing. And then Emmett Brown says it's more like the original Atari since basically Asteroids was the hottest video game on the planet at your local arcade when the Mariners came around. We still trying to get this shit done. And then Tommy says he promises Stanton will make more money winning. And we've talked about this many times, RG. There is disposable income in the greater Seattle area. no matter the economy, there are thriving suburbs here on the east side of Lake Washington. Capitalize, capitalize, man. Like I said, every dude, there's still Seahawks swag every corner, every store, no matter what. Your grandma that lives across the street from you, who watches two Mariners games per year, will buy a T-shirt and a hat if it says World Series on it. I guarantee it. And what is it? Emmett Brown says he's stoked for next year without Service. He hated that weak mofo. And I think Service was good, but the more I look back on it, RG, his background is player development. He didn't come from the coaching ranks. He came from the front office, and he was in charge of player development. Nelson Cruz gives him mad props for helping him become the player he became. But just because you're great at player development doesn't mean you're the right captain to lead the ship to the promised land. I can't reiterate this enough, even though it's a small sample size. We were 21-13 under Dan and Edgar. That's a 618 winning percentage. You do that, you're in the playoffs every single year. And it's going to be tough this offseason, too, RG, because we can get way into our targets as the fall and winter evolve. But I'm seeing people like, let's get Paul Goldschmidt. I look up his stats, and there's a clear decline happening as we speak. His OPS is down to like 712 this year, which makes him barely an above average hitter. And I mean, the average line is about 700. Let's go back to the steroid era, it'd be much higher, but you got to always equate it to the era. But it's not going to be easy to find the right hitters. We might have to trade some of these pitchers that we desperately want. But here's why we might want to do it. I saw a really interesting stat, bro, that the Arizona Diamondbacks led baseball in runs. The Mariners gave up the fewest runs. Both teams missed the playoffs. So teams have to somehow find some sort of balance on their roster to make this shit happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm a conspiracy theorist. I got my tinfoil hat behind me just in case you haven't seen it. Um, I believe the only reason why the Diamondbacks made the playoffs because the Braves and the Mets made a gentleman agreement after game one, where the Mets made that crazy ass comeback. Yeah, we're just gonna take it easy on this second one. You going ahead and get in, and let's go rep for the NL East. And the Braves didn't last long; they got bounced out right away. And
Mhm.
shit, Mets are what 1-1 with Philly. So, bitches get stitches, dude. I've rep I've rep for Mitch Garver. He's from my city. He's from my city. Him and you know how painful it is that him and Bregman have 3 World Series rings that they parade around this city, and they're both on 2 fucking teams I can't absolutely stand. Just the history of the Mexicans who have made it in to the major leagues and have done really well for themselves. I mean, we got a lot of World Series rings here, considering we're probably shit the third least populated state in the whole fucking union. Take you back to the Cardinals with a guy named Tito Landrum. Got a couple of them. We'll go back to even make it a little bit more recent for you. The Giants dynasty of the 2010, a guy named Cody Ross from my actual hometown in New Mexico, Carlsbad, was on those teams. Bregman's got 2. Ken Giles, who was on that Astros team, he's from Albuquerque. Rio Grande High School is literally 5 minutes away from my house. He's got one. You know, Garver's got one. It's good to see someone from our small state get in there and strive, but Jesus Christ, it couldn't happen with them being on 2 worst fucking teams. But I rode for Garver. I tried my best to ride for him, but look back at his stats last year and look at his stats this year. That's kind of what you expect. You kind of
Mhm.
expect him to be unhealthy. When he gets healthy, he'll find a way to put it together. But everybody wants to talk about how hard it is to hit in Seattle. Well, why don't we do what Detroit fucking did and alter the fucking field? Or do we not want to lose the pitching advantage and just expect those guys